I should have seen it coming. But I didn't. Not even a hint. Morning, Alex. Lara's voice was too cheerful, like sugar laced with poison. I forced a smile. Morning, Lara. She leaned over my desk, glancing at my screen. Busy as always, huh? Yeah, I muttered, focusing on the spreadsheet. I didn't notice her subtle tap on the keyboard, deleting a formula I'd spent an hour perfecting. I looked up just in time to see her straighten, pretending innocence. You okay? She asked, tilting her head. You look tense. Tense? No, fine. My heart thudded, but I laughed it off. I had to. I couldn't let her see me sweat. By mid-morning, murmurs filled the office. I ignored them until my boss's assistant called me into his office. My stomach twisted. Alex, have a seat, my boss said, gesturing to the chair. His tone was heavy, formal. Sure, I said, sitting. My mind raced. What did I do wrong? We've reviewed your performance, he began, avoiding eye contact. Effective immediately, we're terminating your employment. What? The word escaped before I could stop it. My mind froze. There must be a mistake. I've met every target, exceeded expectations. I'm afraid it's final, he said. HR will send you the paperwork. Please collect your personal items by the end of the day. I couldn't breathe. My desk, my projects, my routine, all of it gone in a few words. I looked around the office. Everyone pretending not to watch. And then. Lara. She leaned against the water cooler, sipping casually, her lips curved into that smug, satisfied smile. I wanted to scream. How? She glanced up at me, eyes sparkling with amusement. Congrats, Alex. Guess you'll finally have time to explore your hobbies. Her tone was sweet, dripping with mockery. I don't understand. Why? What happened? My voice shook. You really didn't notice, did you? She said, tilting her head. All those little mistakes. I might have mentioned them in passing to management. I just wanted to help. I felt my chest tighten. Help? She'd sabotaged me. Every small error, every missed opportunity, I had trusted her. Trusted her. Lara. I thought we were friends, I whispered, my throat raw. We were, she said softly, shrugging. But friends don't always survive in this world, do they? I left the office in a daze, my hands shaking as I carried my few belongings. The fluorescent light seemed too bright, the air too thin. My mind spun with disbelief and rage. How could someone I considered a friend do this? I passed her desk. She looked up, smirked, and said, "See you around, boss." I stopped mid-step. Boss? I echoed, numb. She laughed softly, like a melody I used to enjoy but now sounded cruel. I didn't answer. I walked out, ignoring the whispers of my coworkers. I couldn't let them see me break. Not yet. Outside, the city air hit me, but it didn't cool the fire inside. My ambition, my pride, my anger, they swirled together. Lara had won this round, but I promised myself silently, this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I clenched my fists. You think you've ruined me? I muttered under my breath. You have no idea what's coming. And with that, I walked away from the place I'd called my second home, carrying a heart full of betrayal and a mind already plotting my comeback. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, Lara's smug smile appeared in my mind, mocking me. "See you around, boss," she'd said. Boss. The word felt like a punch to my gut. I called Sam first thing in the morning. "Alex? You sound off," Sam said, concern in his voice. Sam. I can't believe what happened. Lara, she got me fired. My hands shook. Whoa, slow down. Tell me exactly what happened, Sam said calmly. I ran through the meeting, the words of my boss, the whispers in the office, and then her smile. She's been pretending to be my friend this whole time. I trusted her. Sam sighed. I'm sorry, man. That's rough. Rough? Rough doesn't cut it, Sam. I've worked my ass off, and she just manipulated everything. Every little mistake I made, she used them against me. My voice rose, even though I was alone in my apartment. Alex, I get it. But freaking out won't help. You need to focus. You've always been smart. Use this. Turn it into something bigger. I don't know if I can. My throat tightened. I feel betrayed. Humiliated. I trusted her. Exactly. That's why you can't just let it go. Think bigger. Think revenge, if that's what keeps you motivated. But smart. Not crazy. I sat back, staring at the ceiling. Revenge, the word felt heavy. But it wasn't about hurting her, was it? It was about proving I'm better, that she didn't break me. Yeah. You don't need to confront her directly. Just, be the person she can't ignore. Be the one she regrets underestimating. I ran through the memories, the way she laughed at my ideas in meetings, the way she subtly pointed out my mistakes to management. I remembered staying late, correcting errors she had caused herself, thinking we were a team. She played me like a fool, I muttered. Every little thing. I didn't even see it. You did what you could with what you knew, Sam said. Now you have a choice. Let her win, or make sure you don't lose again. I rubbed my face. I hate that I feel like this, angry, obsessed even. But I can't ignore it. I can't just sit and mope. Good. Don't. Channel it. Use it, Sam urged. Focus on yourself, your skills, your potential. Find an opportunity where you can shine so bright she can't touch you anymore. I sank into the couch, thinking. Opportunities, industries, startups, entrepreneurship. The idea made my heart race. Maybe you're right. Maybe I don't need to fight her in her world. Maybe I just need to build my own. Sam laughed softly. Exactly. You've got talent, Alex. Don't let her steal your drive. Use this. You'll see. One day, you'll look back and smile knowing she underestimated you. I smiled faintly, though it felt bitter. Yeah. I will. I promise I will. We talked for hours, sketching ideas on paper, listing industries, ways to start something small but powerful. Sam suggested networking, mentors, small investments. I nodded along, ideas spinning faster than I could catch. And you'll need a plan, Sam said. Step by step. Don't rush. Build smart. Take control. I can do that, I whispered, feeling a spark ignite inside me. I won't let her win. Not this time. I'll find a way to outshine her, to make her regret ever smiling when I fell. That's the spirit, Sam said. Focus on you. Everything else will fall into place. I hung up, staring at my laptop. Research. Business opportunities. Industries where I could start fresh. Where I could grow. Where she couldn't touch me. A surge of determination washed over me. I was tired of being passive, tired of letting others control my life. Lara had pushed me down, but I wouldn't stay there. Not for long. I opened a blank document and started typing. Step 1, my fingers moved fast, fueled by anger and ambition. I didn't just want to succeed, I wanted to rise so high that her smile would become a memory of her mistake. By midnight, I had a list, a plan, and a fire in my chest. I knew it wouldn't be easy. I knew it would take time. But I also knew one thing, I wasn't broken. Not yet. And this time, I would make sure she knew exactly who I had become. I didn't know where to start, but I knew I had to start. "Alex, are you sure you want to do this?" Sam asked, leaning back in the coffee shop chair. "It's risky. Really risky." "I don't have a choice, Sam," I said, tapping my fingers on the table. "I can't go back to that office. I can't let her win." "You've got the skills, though," Sam said, smiling. "You just need a little push and some connections. I can introduce you to a few people." I nodded, excitement and anxiety mixing into a tight knot in my stomach. "All right. Let's see what's out there." Over the next few weeks, I met Sam's contacts, people who ran small businesses, consultants who offered advice, even investors willing to take a chance on someone with ambition and a plan. "So, Alex, what's your idea?" one investor asked. I laid it out, a consultancy firm in the same field as my old company, but faster, smarter, more efficient. "You've got experience, I can see that," he said, leaning forward. "But can you handle the stress? It's not just about knowledge. It's survival." "I can handle it," I said firmly. "I've been through worse. I won't let this fail." Every night, I worked late. My apartment turned into a war room of spreadsheets, notes, and endless coffee cups. "Alex, don't you think you're overdoing it?" Sam asked during one late-night call. "You need rest." "I can't," I admitted. "If I pause, I'll lose momentum. Every hour counts." "Just, make sure you don't burn out," he said. "I've seen you push too hard before. Don't let obsession take over." "I know," I whispered. But I didn't stop. Each day I faced new problems, licenses, contracts, tech glitches. Each day I solved them. Slowly, things started to fall into place. One morning, I finally held a meeting with my first official team. "Everyone, welcome aboard. We're starting small, but I promise you, this will grow. Together." "Alex, we believe in you," one of the new colleagues said. His optimism was contagious. "I hope we can prove ourselves," I said, looking around the room. Their faces reflected trust, hope. I felt a small swell of pride. Evenings were for strategy calls with Sam. "You're making progress," he said. "Your first client could come through any day now. Stay sharp." "I know," I replied, thinking about Lara. "Not yet," I told myself. Not yet. First, I had to build my empire. Every rejection from a client or a hesitant contact felt like a punch. "No, we're not interested," they'd say. Each time, I clenched my jaw, refusing to let it break me. "Alex, don't take it personally," Sam reminded me during one particularly brutal week. "You're building something new. They'll come around." "They'd better," I muttered. But inside, I felt that spark again, the drive, the hunger. The fire Lara had lit in me without knowing it. Months passed. I finally signed my first contract. A small company, but it was mine. I remember telling Sam over the phone, my voice shaking with excitement. "We did it," I said, laughter spilling over. "I can't believe it. It's real." "You've earned it, Alex," Sam said. "I knew you could do it." I looked around my small office, a mix of borrowed furniture and hand-me-down tech. "It's humble now," I whispered. "But it's mine. And one day, she'll see it. She'll see everything I've built while she underestimated me." Sam chuckled. "Patience, Alex. One step at a time." "I know," I said, a smile tugging at my lips. For the first time in months, I felt something like peace. Mixed with determination. Pride. And yes, a quiet hunger for the day I'd face Lara again, not as the person she mocked, but as someone she couldn't ignore. I leaned back in my chair, looking at the skyline through the office window. The night lights flickered like tiny stars. My company was small, my team was small, but my vision wasn't. I would grow, I would rise, and I would be ready. And when that day came, Lara wouldn't just remember my name, she'd regret ever smiling when I fell. The networking event smelled of stale coffee and expensive cologne. I sipped my drink, scanning the crowd, trying to look casual. "Alex? Is that you?" a voice called. I turned and saw someone I recognized from one of Sam's introductions. "Yeah, hey," I said, shaking hands. "It's been a while." "Looks like things are going well for you," he said, glancing at my suit. "Your company's making waves already, right?" "Trying," I said with a small smile. "We're getting there." I moved through the crowd, nodding at a few other contacts, when I spotted her. Lara. She was talking animatedly with two men I didn't know, laughing like she owned the room. My chest tightened. "Is that Alex?" I heard a faint whisper behind me. I ignored it. I watched her for a few moments, studying her ease, her arrogance. She looked different. Complacent. Confident in a way that screamed she believed nothing could touch her. I stepped closer, pretending to check my phone. "Excuse me, Lara," I said lightly. She turned, eyes narrowing for a moment, and then widened slightly. "Alex? You?" Her words faltered. "Yes," I said, letting a calm smile slide over my face. "It's me. It's been a while." She blinked, caught off guard. "I didn't recognize you. You look, well." "Thanks," I said, casually. "So, how's everything at your company?" My voice was smooth, controlled. "Fine," she said quickly, waving it off. "Busy, you know. The usual." I noticed the slight hesitation, the tiny crack in her confident mask. "Must be challenging," I said softly. "Managing everything so flawlessly?" Her smile flickered, tight. "I manage. That's all." I let the silence stretch for a moment, just enough to make her uncomfortable. "I've been keeping busy too," I said, lowering my voice slightly. "Started my own firm, actually. Growing faster than I expected." She raised an eyebrow. "Really? That's impressive." "Thanks," I said, nodding. "It's small now, but we're gaining traction. Just the start, you know." Her tone hardened slightly. "Well, I guess you've always been ambitious." "I've had to be," I admitted. "Ambition teaches you a lot. About people. About trust. About mistakes." She shifted, avoiding my gaze. "Yeah," her voice was clipped. I pressed a little, careful, subtle. "Funny how some lessons come from unexpected teachers, isn't it?" Her eyes flicked to mine, recognition dawning, or maybe the realization that I wasn't the same person she'd dismissed months ago. "Alex, what are you implying?" "Nothing more than, people remember. And sometimes, karma has its own timing." I smiled, letting the words hang. She didn't respond, instead adjusting her blazer and excusing herself. I watched her leave, feeling a mix of satisfaction and simmering anger. She hadn't recognized me at first, and now she realized I wasn't someone to ignore. I turned back to my contacts, shaking off the rush of emotion. I had to focus. This was about me, my growth, my future. But the encounter had lit a fire I couldn't ignore. I leaned against the bar, thinking about the subtle shift in the air when I mentioned my firm. Her posture, her hesitation, it was tiny, but telling. A crack in her armor I hadn't expected to see so soon. "Everything okay?" one of my new contacts asked, noticing my distant look. Yeah, I said, straightening. Just, seeing someone from my past. Makes you appreciate how far you've come. They nodded, smiling. Well, you're clearly doing well. Congratulations. Thanks, I said, sipping my drink. My mind was still on her, on the arrogant, complacent person who had underestimated me. I caught myself smiling faintly. Not a happy smile, something sharper, more focused. She won't underestimate me again, I muttered under my breath. The rest of the evening passed with networking, exchanging cards, and small talk. But my mind kept returning to that moment. That encounter. That tiny hint that she was realizing she hadn't fully defeated me. By the time I left, I felt a strange mix of pride and hunger. Pride for how far I'd come. Hunger for the day I'd fully prove myself, not with words, but with results she couldn't ignore. I stepped into the cool night air, letting it clear my head. One thing was certain, this reunion wasn't the end. It was the beginning. And I would make sure the next time we met, it would be on my terms. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the client list Sam had sent over. This is it, I muttered. The next step. You've got this, Alex, Sam said over the phone. Remember, strategic. Don't rush it. I know, I said, though a part of me itched to move faster. But timing is everything, Sam. If I wait too long, you risk losing the advantage, he finished for me. Exactly. I hung up and turned to my mentor, Mr. Harris, who had agreed to advise me during these early months. I need to position myself directly against her company, I said, pacing. Harris raised an eyebrow. Bold. Risky. But smart. You have leverage. Use it. I've been listening, observing, subtle things, I said. Industry gossip, client complaints, her mistakes. She's sloppy. Overconfident. Blind to opportunity. Good, Harris said. Knowledge is power. But remember, don't let revenge blind you. Your focus should be growth first, victory second. I nodded, knowing he was right, but the satisfaction simmered beneath the surface. I can't help it, I admitted. Part of me wants her to notice, to realize she underestimated me. Just make sure the realization comes after you've built something undeniable, he said. Not before. I spent the next weeks networking, attending industry events, meeting clients under the guise of casual discussion. Alex, so your firm is new, but you're growing fast, one contact said during a lunch meeting. Yes, I said. We focus on efficiency and personalized solutions. Small, but nimble. Clients like that. That's impressive, he said, jotting notes. And I hear your competitors aren't keeping up. I smiled faintly. Competition keeps us sharp. But yes, attention to detail matters more than arrogance. The man chuckled. I'll remember that. I left the lunch with a quiet thrill. Every conversation planted seeds, tiny threads weaving a network that positioned me above her without a single direct confrontation. Back at the office, Harris and I reviewed the data. Her company lost another client? I asked, seeing the report. Yes, Harris said. And it wasn't minor. Mismanagement, delayed responses. It's only going to get worse if she keeps ignoring the basics. I felt a small pang of guilt. Am I enjoying this too much? Maybe, Harris said. But channel it. Let it motivate you, not consume you. Make sure your growth isn't just about proving her wrong. I nodded again, swallowing the rush of satisfaction. Understood. Growth first. Strategy always. The following week, I secured my first major client. Alex, this is huge, Sam said when I called him. You're officially a player in this industry. I know, I said, but my mind was already moving to the next step. And it's just the beginning. I want more: strategic positioning, influence, leverage. I want her to see me as a force she can't ignore. Careful, Sam warned. Don't let that drive cloud your judgment. I won't, I said, though my pulse quickened at the thought of taking control in the very field she once ruled. At another networking dinner, I overheard two colleagues discussing her company's recent failures. She's always been careless, one said. Never listens to her team. That's why clients are leaving. I smiled to myself. Interesting, I whispered under my breath, letting the information settle. Every mistake she made, every misstep, became a piece of the puzzle. One evening, Harris and I reviewed my plans. You're ready for a bold move, he said. Something that will put you in a position she can't ignore. I know, I said, tapping my pen. A strategic merger. I'll align with a firm she's been relying on. Not aggressively, just enough to place myself above her professionally. Perfect, Harris said. It's subtle, smart, and gives you maximum impact. Timing will be key. I've been waiting, I said quietly, almost to myself. Months of preparation. Every call, every meeting, it all leads here. I'll grow, rise, and she'll be forced to notice. Harris nodded. Just remember to stay focused on your company's growth. Let karma do its work naturally. That's more powerful than overt revenge. I exhaled slowly, my chest tight with anticipation and restrained satisfaction. I can do that. I can play it smart. Let her crumble by her own mistakes while I take the lead. The next morning, I reviewed the client reports again. Every small victory counts, I muttered, feeling the thrill of progress. Every connection, every subtle move, it's all working. Sam called just then. Any updates? Major ones, I said. The plan is in motion. She won't see me coming until I'm already above her. And by then, my voice hardened. It'll be too late. Good, Sam said. Just remember, this is about you, not just her. I know, I said. But seeing her struggle, knowing I positioned myself while she ignored the warning signs, it feels satisfying. Just don't let it cloud your judgment, Sam warned. I won't, I promised. Yet a small, dark part of me smiled at the thought of her eventual realization. By the end of the week, I had drafted my next move. Subtle, calculated, and powerful. A step that would place me directly above her in influence and reputation. And when that time came, she would finally understand what I was capable of. I stared at my laptop screen, heart hammering. The final proposal had been submitted just minutes ago. My team waited quietly around me. Alex, is this really going to work? One of the new colleagues asked, biting her lip. It has to, I said, trying to sound calm. This is the one. Everything we've built leads to this moment. Sam called from his office. Alex, any updates? Not yet, I said, keeping my voice steady. The client's reviewing our proposal. I can't do anything more until they respond. Relax, Sam said, chuckling softly. You've done everything you can. Trust the process. I will, I muttered, though my stomach twisted. I knew this client was the same one Lara had been courting for months. The one her company relied on heavily. Hours passed. I paced the office, checking emails every few minutes. Finally, a notification appeared. I opened it and held my breath. We're thrilled to award the contract to your firm, the email read. I blinked, rereading it. We got it, I whispered, disbelief mixing with triumph. The team erupted into cheers. Alex! You did it, one of them shouted, clapping me on the back. I smiled, but it was sharp, deliberate. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement. A positioning. Lara would feel it. She wouldn't know exactly why, but she'd know she'd been outmaneuvered. Unbelievable, I said quietly. All those months, everything we did, it paid off. Sam called immediately. Alex. Congratulations. This is huge. I knew it was only a matter of time before you made your mark. Thanks, I said, a small, satisfied smile tugging at my lips. It's more than I expected. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. I wonder when she'll realize. Who? Sam asked, a hint of amusement in his voice. Lara, I said. She's probably pacing her office right now, trying to figure out how we managed to secure the client. Sam laughed. You've earned it. But, are you going to confront her? I hesitated, fingers hovering over the keyboard. I don't know. Part of me wants to, but another part wants to let this unfold naturally. Let karma do its work. Smart, Sam said. Trust me. You'll get your satisfaction without lowering yourself. I nodded, though my mind raced. My phone buzzed. A message from one of her assistant's contacts. Lara's furious. She can't figure out why the client went with you. I smirked. Exactly. I called Harris immediately. We did it, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. The client. They signed with us. Excellent, Harris said. Now you're in a position where you can influence the industry, directly. Strategically. I know, I said. I wonder about the next move. Do I confront her or, I trailed off, unsure if I wanted the answer. Don't rush, Harris advised. You have power now. Use it wisely. Let your actions speak louder than confrontation. You're in control. I understand, I said, though a tiny thrill ran through me. The thought of her realizing she'd been outmaneuvered without seeing it coming was intoxicating. I glanced around the office, my team buzzing with excitement. Everyone, settle down, I said, holding up my hand. This is a big victory, but it's also a responsibility. We've earned this, but we can't get complacent. A few minutes later, I overheard a conversation outside my office. Two industry acquaintances were talking. Did you hear about the contract? One asked. It went to that new firm. I thought Lara had it in the bag. Yeah, the other said. Not sure what happened. They've been quiet, but clearly strategic. Whoever runs that firm knows exactly what they're doing. I smiled faintly. Exactly. Later, alone in my office, I thought about Lara. She'd been arrogant, careless, convinced she was untouchable. And now, she couldn't pinpoint why she lost. That subtle confusion, the realization that she had been outplayed, it was satisfying in a way I hadn't expected. Yet, I couldn't ignore the nagging thought. Am I too focused on her? I whispered to myself. Is this about growth, or revenge? I leaned back, letting the tension ease. It doesn't matter. Right now, it's about what we've achieved. Karma will take care of the rest. I looked at the email confirming the contract again. My fingers traced the words like a promise. This is just the beginning. A step ahead, a position of influence. I have control now. The thought of Lara scrambling, unable to understand how she lost, made a small part of me grin. But I reminded myself, the satisfaction wasn't in confrontation, it was in proving that I could rise above, even after betrayal. My team cheered once more, and I raised a hand. We've done this together. Remember that. Our work is just starting. Keep your focus. The future depends on what we do next. Alone, after everyone left, I sat back and let the quiet sink in. A mixture of pride, triumph, and reflection filled me. I'd grown, I'd risen, and I held power in my hands. And somewhere out there, Lara was realizing, just a little too late, that underestimating me had been her biggest mistake. I smiled faintly, letting the thought linger. Karma was working, subtly, perfectly. And I had done what I needed to do to make sure it was undeniable. I walked into the boardroom with my head held high. The air smelled faintly of coffee and polished wood. I saw her immediately, Lara, sitting at the far end, her posture perfect, her smile confident. "Good morning, everyone," I said, my voice steady. "Shall we get started?" Lara's eyes flicked to me. "Alex," she said, her tone tight, controlled. "I wasn't expecting you in this meeting." "I'm here," I said, calmly taking my seat. "As you know, I'm overseeing this merger. Let's focus on the agenda." She pursed her lips but didn't respond. The CEO cleared his throat. "All right, let's review the proposals." I listened as the discussion unfolded, quietly noting every subtle hesitation in Lara's voice, every glance she shot at me. She tried to assert authority, cutting in sharply. "I think we need to reconsider the client allocation," she said. "My team has a history with these accounts. It's only logical." "Of course," I replied smoothly, "but history isn't always indicative of future performance. My team has prepared a detailed strategy that maximizes efficiency and revenue." A flicker of surprise crossed her face, quickly masked by a tight smile. I see. Efficiency is important, yes, but experience counts too." "I agree," I said, leaning slightly forward. "Which is why we've incorporated the best elements of both teams. I want this merger to succeed for everyone, not just for one side." She shifted in her chair, trying to regain control. "I just think." "Lara," I interrupted gently, "we all want the same outcome. Let's focus on measurable results, not assumptions." Her jaw tightened. I caught it. That small gesture told me more than any words. She realized she wasn't steering this ship anymore, I was. A board member spoke up. "Alex, can you clarify the client retention projections?" "Certainly," I said, clicking through the slides. "Based on our analysis, combining the teams under this plan increases retention by 15% in the first quarter. Each account is matched with the most experienced team member, ensuring continuity." She leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "And if there's pushback from the clients?" "My team has relationships built over years. I've accounted for that," I said. "Relationship management is integrated into the transition. It's structured, measurable, and risk mitigated." Her lips pressed into a thin line. She glanced at me, then at the CEO, who nodded subtly. She realized what I realized months ago: she was no longer the one in control. I caught myself smiling faintly, just a hint, then suppressed it. Maintaining professionalism was key. "Lara," I said softly, almost conversational, "I value your expertise. It's precisely why I've integrated your team into the client strategy. Your input was invaluable." She froze. The tension thickened. "Alex," she started, then stopped, unsure of what to say. "Nothing more than acknowledgement," I continued, calm and even. "We're past rivalry. This is about results. Let's focus on that." Her fingers tapped on the table, quick, restless. She attempted one last assertion. "I just hope that my perspective is considered fully." "It is," I said. "But the final decisions must be based on performance and data, not assumptions or influence." The room went quiet. I noticed a few board members exchanging glances, subtle nods in my direction. I had shifted the balance. The authority was mine, not through intimidation, but through competence and preparation. She exhaled, a soft sigh of realization. She understood, finally, that she no longer dictated terms. Her dominance was gone. I felt a pang of something, satisfaction, yes, but also reflection. This could have been cruel. I could have flaunted my power, reminded her of every betrayal. But I restrained myself. Professionalism mattered. Morality mattered. The CEO cleared his throat. I think we've reached consensus. Alex, thank you for leading this process. Lara, your contributions are noted. Let's move forward accordingly. Yes, I said, nodding. We'll ensure a smooth transition and measurable success for both teams. Lara remained quiet. Her eyes met mine briefly, then flicked down to the table. Unspoken acknowledgement passed between us, she had lost control. She knew it. After the meeting, my team gathered around. Alex, that was incredible, one colleague whispered. You handled her perfectly. I know, I said, voice low. But it wasn't about showing her up. It was about leading, strategically and ethically. Everything else will follow. Later, alone, I leaned back in my chair, staring out the window. The city lights blurred like small fireflies in the distance. My hands rested on the table. I reflected on every choice I'd made, every subtle strategy, every decision, every restraint. I whispered to myself, I've won, but I haven't lost myself in the process. A small smile formed. Lara would realize the shift fully, eventually. No dramatic confrontation, no overt revenge. Just a quiet, undeniable truth, I was in control, and she was not. The office dynamics had changed. People looked to me now, not her. And the knowledge of that silent shift filled me with a calm, satisfying power. I exhaled slowly, feeling the tension drain. The battle wasn't over, this was only one step, but the first, most critical step had been taken. And in that quiet realization, I felt something rare, victory without cruelty, triumph without regret. I saw the emails first. Client complaints, delayed responses, missed deadlines. Her name appeared constantly, Lara. She's really falling apart, one of my team said, voice low as we scrolled through the industry news. I know, I said quietly, staring at the screen. A mix of satisfaction and unease tightened my chest. This wasn't about me actively hurting her, she was doing this to herself, but still, I felt the weight of witnessing it. Sam leaned over my shoulder. You okay? You don't look thrilled. I am, I said, shaking my head. It's just, watching it happen. There's a part of me that's vindicated, sure. But also, I trailed off. Discomfort. Power isn't fun if it feels like this. Remember, Sam said gently, she made her choices. You didn't create this chaos. I nodded, taking a deep breath. I know. I just expected her to be different. Seeing vulnerability in someone so arrogant, it's unsettling. Later that afternoon, I saw her. She appeared at my office door, hesitating, hands twisted nervously. Alex, can we talk? Her voice was low, almost unrecognizable. Of course, I said, gesturing to the chair across from my desk. Please, sit. She lowered herself into the chair, avoiding my gaze. I've made a mess. I don't know how to fix it. I watched her carefully. I see, I said, keeping my voice neutral. This is about your company. She nodded, eyes glossy. I underestimated everything. You, the team, the clients. I thought I could manage without listening, without care, and now it's all falling apart. I can imagine that feels difficult, I said, leaning back slightly. It's humbling, yes. She swallowed hard. Yes. I never realized how much I relied on others, and how my arrogance blinded me. I could feel the mixture of fear, regret, and vulnerability radiating off her. It was powerful, almost raw. But I stayed calm, measured. Do you want help? I asked, softly. I mean, I could suggest ways to stabilize things. Her head lifted slightly. Yes. I'd appreciate that. I know I don't deserve it, but, her voice broke. I don't know who else to turn to. I paused. The temptation to remind her of every slight, every betrayal, rose in me. I could humiliate her, assert dominance, make her feel the sting she'd once caused me. But I didn't. I won't humiliate you, I said firmly, letting the words carry weight. But you need to understand, this is the consequence of your choices, not mine. You created this path. She blinked, absorbing that. I understand. Good, I said. The only way forward is to own your mistakes, make amends where you can, and learn. No shortcuts. She nodded slowly. Thank you, Alex. Truly. I let her sit there a moment longer before speaking again. I want you to reflect on this, not depend on me to fix it. Growth comes from responsibility, not rescue. Her shoulders slumped, and a sigh escaped her. I see that now. I really do. When she left, I exhaled deeply, running my hands through my hair. The office felt quieter, heavier somehow. Watching her struggle had stirred an unexpected mix of emotions, vindication, pity, even a strange sense of closure. Sam appeared at my side. She came to you? He asked. Yes, I said, nodding. And I didn't give her solutions. Just perspective. Good, he said. You're not just successful, you're wiser. That's the real victory. I leaned back in my chair, letting myself reflect. It's strange, I said aloud. I wanted revenge once, wanted her to feel what I felt. But this feels different. True power isn't humiliation. It's restraint. It's letting consequences do their work. Sam nodded. Exactly. And you've grown through it. I stared out the window, city lights flickering in the dusk. Her downfall was complete, yes, but it was natural. Organic. Nothing I forced. And that realization brought a deeper sense of satisfaction than any petty revenge ever could. Later, alone, I whispered to myself, this is what I wanted, to rise, to succeed, to be respected, and to remain unbroken by betrayal. Lara's choices brought her here. Mine brought me growth. I thought back to the long nights, the strategic moves, the careful restraint. Every challenge had shaped me, strengthened me, and now, as I looked at my own accomplishments, I understood, true power isn't taking from others. It's building yourself. I closed my eyes for a moment, letting it sink in. Humility, resilience, and the wisdom to choose the high road, that was the victory I would carry forward. And somewhere out there, Lara would remember. Not because I humiliated her, not because I struck, but because she realized too late what she had lost, and what I had gained. I smiled faintly, a calm, steady smile. This was justice, tempered with morality. Karma had unfolded, naturally. And I had risen above it. I sat at my desk, the office quiet except for the hum of the air conditioner. Sam leaned against the doorway, sipping his coffee. Thinking again? He asked, raising an eyebrow. Always, I replied, smiling faintly. I can't help it. I keep replaying everything, the fall, the fight, the climb. Sam nodded, understanding. You've come a long way, Alex. You earned every step. I did, I said, my voice soft. But it wasn't just about winning. It was about, not losing myself in the process. Remember how I felt when I first lost my job? Humiliated, angry, desperate. I do, he said. I remember how furious you were. You wanted revenge, but now look at you. You've grown beyond that. I leaned back, closing my eyes for a moment. I still think about Lara sometimes, not to hurt her, but to understand. She taught me more than she knew. About vigilance, about subtlety, about how not to be consumed by ego. Sam smiled. Funny how the people who challenge us most become our teachers. Exactly, I said. I could have humiliated her. I could have made her feel every ounce of pain she caused me. But I didn't. I let karma unfold, naturally. And in doing so, I realized what real power feels like. It's not taking, it's building. Wise words, Sam said. And look at what you've built. Your company, your team, people respect you because of what you've done, not because of what you've destroyed. I nodded, glancing at my team working quietly in the background. They've been incredible. Supporting me, believing in the vision. Every client, every meeting, every late night, it all matters. And I've grown because of it, not in spite of it. Sam chuckled. You even sound reflective without sounding bitter. That's progress. I am reflective, I admitted. I still feel the sting of betrayal, the rush of ambition, but I've learned to channel it constructively. I've learned that resilience isn't about revenge. It's about maintaining integrity while fighting for what you deserve. A memory flickered through my mind, my first conversation with Sam after getting fired. I remembered pacing my apartment, voice raw with anger. Alex, he had said then, don't let this break you. Let it drive you. I smiled faintly at the recollection. That was the moment everything shifted. I chose action over despair, strategy over anger. That choice defined the path I'm on today. And look at you now, Sam said, snapping me out of my thoughts. You've created something sustainable, meaningful. Not just success, but purpose. Purpose, I echoed. Yes, that felt right. I'd chased revenge at first, yes, but in the end, my goal became far greater than that. It became about leadership, about resilience, about integrity. I glanced at my office window, city lights flickering like quiet applause. I never imagined I'd feel this, content. I expected triumph, yes, but triumph alone isn't enough. Satisfaction comes from knowing I didn't compromise who I am. Sam leaned against the doorframe, smiling knowingly. And that's the difference between winning and growing. You didn't just win, you transformed. I exhaled slowly, letting it settle. I've learned about trust, about ambition, about patience. About how betrayal can teach you resilience instead of despair. I've learned to recognize opportunity without letting anger dictate my actions. And I've learned that true justice doesn't need my hand, it comes naturally when you focus on your own growth. Sam nodded. And your future? Looks bright. Yes, I said, voice steady. I've learned from the past, but I'm ready for whatever comes next. Challenges, opportunities, even mistakes, I'll meet them head-on, wiser, stronger. A quiet moment passed, both of us watching The Office. I smiled at my team, focused, determined, yet confident. I've transformed, I whispered to myself. I've survived, I've grown, and I've thrived without losing my humanity. That's my real victory. Sam clapped me on the shoulder. Here's to you, Alex. For everything you've endured, and everything you've become. I smiled, truly smiled, feeling a calm sense of fulfillment wash over me. The journey wasn't easy, but it was mine. And now, I was ready, not just for the challenges ahead, but for the satisfaction of knowing that I could rise, maintain my integrity, and embrace the future with both courage and clarity. I sat in the corner of the conference room, quietly observing the bustling event. My team moved efficiently, confidently, reflecting the culture we had built together. Everything looks perfect, one of my colleagues whispered, adjusting the presentation boards. It always does when we plan carefully, I replied, keeping my voice calm. Focus on execution. That's what matters. From across the room, I saw her, Lara. She lingered near the refreshments, scanning the room with a mix of apprehension and forced composure. She didn't see me immediately, and I let her remain unaware. She looks different, my assistant murmured. Quieter. Yes, I said softly. She knows now. That subtle understanding of loss, of missed opportunity. It's silent, but potent. Sam, standing nearby, leaned in. You're calm. I'd be tempted to. I don't know, gloat. I smiled faintly. I've learned that power isn't in showing someone they're defeated. It's in observing it unfold naturally while you maintain integrity. A board member approached me. Alex, the client is thrilled with your team's progress. Your leadership is impressive. Thank you, I said, modestly. It's a collective effort. Everyone deserves recognition. I returned my gaze to Lara. She finally caught my eye, and for a split second, recognition and regret flickered across her face. She glanced away quickly, discomfort evident. She realizes it, I whispered to myself. She knows the shift is permanent. Are you going to say anything? Sam asked quietly. No, I said. There's nothing to say. Words can't undo what's already done. The lesson is hers to absorb. She approached the registration desk hesitantly, her voice low when speaking to the staff. I watched her movements, hesitant, careful, restrained. That confidence she once wielded like a weapon was gone. She had lost it to her own choices, and I didn't need to enforce it. A junior colleague nudged me. She's asking about our strategy. Is that concerning? Not at all, I said, shaking my head. Curiosity doesn't equal power. Understanding doesn't reverse consequences. I leaned back in my chair, taking a moment to reflect. The journey here had been long, painful, and transformative. Every betrayal, every setback, every sleepless night had contributed to this quiet strength. Sam nudged me again. You look peaceful. Almost proud. I am, I said. Not because of defeating her, but because of what I've become. I survived the fall. I built something meaningful. And I did it without compromising who I am. Across the room, Lara's posture shifted subtly as she noticed the room's acknowledgement of my presence, my quiet authority. She looked around, searching, perhaps hoping for guidance or validation. She would find none. I think she's realizing, I murmured, that influence isn't demanded, it's earned. Respect isn't claimed, it's cultivated. Sam nodded. And you've done both. Without malice. Yes, I said, letting the word settle. Without malice. That's the difference between fleeting victory and enduring success. I've achieved both professionally and emotionally. The evening continued. Colleagues, clients, and industry contacts interacted smoothly, responding to my guidance and leadership. I answered questions, offered advice, and observed quietly, always aware of the subtle dynamics. From across the room, I caught a final glance from Lara. Regret lingered, but there was no confrontation, no challenge. Just acknowledgement, silent, unavoidable, and deserved. I whispered to myself, this is what victory truly feels like. Not in revenge, not in gloating, not in temporary satisfaction. But in mastery, of self, of ambition, of resilience. Sam stepped beside me. You've come a long way, Alex. From despair to this moment, it's remarkable. I exhaled slowly, eyes sweeping the room. It is. And it's only the beginning. But for now, I can simply appreciate the journey, the growth, and the quiet justice. The lights in the room dimmed slightly, and a soft murmur of conversation carried through the space. I sat back, letting the calm wash over me. My victory wasn't loud. It wasn't celebrated with dramatic gestures. It was quiet, unwavering, and complete. And I realized, fully, that I had won, not only professionally, but emotionally. I had risen above betrayal, maintained my integrity, and embraced the strength that comes from surviving and thriving. I smiled faintly, a serene, self-assured smile. From the distance, Lara faded into the background, a reminder of the past and the lessons learned. And in that quiet victory, I felt unstoppable.